Always a pleasure to see you.
Always an honor.
Oh shit. Come on.
People have to come and understand why we say
Jimiona. Hey, that kind. Jimiona.
Gamma one.
Charlie.
Hey,
the whole. You know that champion Jimmy.
There's a song like that.
Okay. Bandana from Ghana. Mokoho. That one rather. Hey, sorry.
Yeah, you know, one have you able to give me one line. That one line of you.
Okay. I think it's Kwame Eugene, right?
I think so.
Yeah. It's true, Kwame Eugene.
Yeah. Translate it for us.
I mean, after you there is none.
Yeah, after you there's none.
That's the lines you have been using for your girl. Hey,
my what?
Your girl.
Hey,
sorry. Or there's S at the end.
There's what?
S at the end of the girl.
Well, let's.
Hey.
So me can say yes and no.
You
say higher point.
I trusted you.
You do. You should trust me. Yeah.
Maybe I didn't shame me.
No.
I didn't fear you.
No. You can't shame me, baby.
Charlie, what's up? What's happening in the court?
Charlie, yes. Be slow, but sure. Yesterday, the case of the bench bank.
Okay.
Michael Nyineku was in court yesterday, and something really interesting happened yesterday, which is to give us a hint of what is to be expected. If you ask me, yesterday was for the witness number 29 for Michael Nyineku to testify, and we were told that this witness is one George Obin, and currently he's a judge.
Yeah.
A judge. So you have seen the judge come to testify, and the mode of testimony was that he was joining via Zoom because he's not in the country, and joining via Zoom. The setup was done, video link was connected, the recording started. Then Justice Ifya Sewasa Ribochia, Justice of the Court of Appeals presiding over the case as an additional High Court judge, came in, and then the case was called. Mr. Nyineku was present in court. A moment after the case was called, and then the parties were, in fact, the legal representatives were recorded. In fact, for the state, Mrs. Evelyn Kilson was the one that represented the state, and then Titus Sorry also was representing Mr. Nyineku. The judge asked that they approach the bench, which they did for about 6 to 7 minutes, according to my watch. And then when they got back, all that Justice Ifya Sewasa Ribochia will say is to the effect that the case will be adjourned to the 3rd of February at the instance of prosecution, and that request put in by the prosecution was not opposed to by lawyers of the accused person. So straightforward, the case was adjourned. However, what the court notes, or what the indication that was given, was that the court directed the staff or the clerks of the court to furnish the entire proceedings to the prosecution, and same given to the accused person. And the indication is that the Attorney General designate is now scrutinizing the cases even before his approval. So that is one of the things that happened in relation to the case. You note that this is one of the cases that came about as a result of the banking cleanup exercise, and the NDC in opposition had so many reservations about the manner in which the banks were collapsed, and some persons were charged. So yesterday, Michael Nyineku was in court. The witness was expected to testify via video link, which was ready, but the prosecution, led by Mrs. Evelyn Kilson, the chief state attorney, asked for an adjournment, which the lawyers of the accused did not oppose to that, and the court has asked for the record of proceedings from day 1 to the last day of yesterday to be furnished to the parties, and the 3rd of February we'll know more as to what would happen in relation to this case. So that is what happened in the bench bank case yesterday at the court. Then the former second lady's robbery case, Yahuza.
Matilda.
Yes, Matilda Yaba, Emisa Arthur, and some 4 others were allegedly robbed. And Yahuza Osmanu was the one who has been arrested. Yesterday, his lawyers put in an application. Notes that there were some vehicles that were retrieved from him, cash sums, and then some jewelries were all retrieved. Yesterday, his application was to the effect that vehicles that were retrieved from him are his vehicles, so it should be released to him. He notes that those vehicles are the reason he was charged for dishonestly receiving. The prosecution made the point that those vehicles are stolen vehicles. About 5 of the vehicles are stolen vehicles, so they charged him for dishonestly receiving. He said, no, those vehicles are mine. So the application yesterday was for the release of those vehicles to him. But the prosecution opposed to that, and the court presided over by Justice Kizita Nakwa-Akwashi held the view that it is too early for the court to take such a position by way of releasing documents which has become a subject matter of charges to an accused person. And so that request yesterday was denied. Yes, was denied. In fact, was dismissed. And the court has adjourned the case to the 5th of February for the next line of action, or for the other things to be done. Then the another case that I also want to touch on is in relation to the Tema in Pakadan train accident.
Hey, yes, it's still there.
It's still before the court. But the main character here, the driver who was driving that truck, remember that when he was arrested, arraigned, and somewhere in the eastern region, the circuit court in the eastern region, immediately he admitted the offense and he was convicted and then sentenced to a 6-month, which per the duration he's done serving already. But some accomplices yesterday who were arrested, 4 of them are before the High Court in Accra. They have been granted bail, but 2 of them are still in lawful custody because they have not been able to meet their bail conditions. Yesterday they were in court, and you note that this is a case that Justice Lydia Osema was handling before her elevation to the Court of Appeal. So the practice has always been that when there are fresh cases that the trial are yet to commence and a judge is elevated, the new judge that takes over as a substantive judge for that court will now seize the opportunity to deal with the fresh cases. So yesterday, the parties then had to adopt Justice Lydia Osemafo's earlier proceedings. In fact, all that happened in relation to the case before Justice Lydia Osemafo was to the effect that the plea of the accused persons were taken, disclosures and other processes were filed, but the trial had not started yet. So yesterday, the parties said they agreed for the court to adopt the proceedings of the previous judge, and so the case has been adjourned to 5th of February, also for the court to fix firm dates for the trial to commence. And lawyers of the second accused, one of the accused person, came in yesterday, said they were only assigned to the case, so they will need the records of the previous proceeding to abreast themselves, to come to date or be able to know where the case has gotten to, so that they can make their representation of the accused person. So that case yesterday was also adjourned. But today, we have 2 interesting cases. And the first one is the Cocoa Board case. Yesterday, the finance minister, the agric minister designate, yesterday was in Parliament
talking about the performance of even Cocoa Board, right?
Yes. So there were a lot of things said about Cocoa Board and all that.
How they've been running at a loss.
Absolutely.
Yet their costs of maintenance, or the
very
expenditure
high.
of Cocoa Board is still very high. I've seen people, talk about how they don't even think Cocoa Board is relevant.
Absolutely, he made that point. But for the farmers, they'll be happy because of the kind of conversation that happened, especially the cocoa farmers and all that. Whether there's going to be an increase in cocoa prices and all that, we look forward to that. And the minister designate was giving some interesting remarks on that. But the point here I'm making is that the Cocoa Board case involving Dr. Stephen Kwabena Opuni and Seidu Agongo, Agricort Ghana Limited, will be back in court today for the 9th defense witness for Seidu Agongo and Agricort Ghana Limited to be cross-examined by lawyers of Dr. Stephen Kwabena Opuni. Remember that at the last court sitting, what happened was that lawyers of Seidu Agongo, led by Benson Nuchupi, in fact, led the witness to give his evidence in chief to the court. And then after giving his evidence to the in chief to the court, the opportunity was for the accused person and his lawyers to, in fact, the opportunity was for lawyers of Stephen Kobno-Puni to cross-examine the witness. And the witness we are talking about here is Dr. Samuel Akoto Bamford. We are told that he is a principal research scientist with the School of Nuclear and Allied Sciences, Atomic Energy. So today, lawyers of Dr. Stephen Kobno-Puni, led by Samuel Kojo, will subject him to further cross-examination. At the last court sitting, Mr. Kojo asked one question by way of sealing the mouth of the witness. And when he's done, then the prosecution will also take over before Justice Abuaji Tando, who is presiding over the case, as a Court of Appeal judge, but with additional responsibility as a High Court judge. Then, one troubling case, Abisim.
Oh, dear.
Do you remember that case?
Yeah, the one that the bodies were found in the fridge.
Yes. So, Richard Appiah, it is expected that the trial would officially start today.
Okay.
Yes, because the prosecution is expected to bring their first with it. They indicated that they'll be calling 9 witnesses. So, today, the court has fixed today for. It's a jury trial, but it will also depend on whether all the jurors are present in court and all that. So Richard Appiah charged for 2 counts of murder of 2 teenagers, allegedly chopped the body parts and stored them in the refrigerator. That case, the trial is expected to begin today. So these and many more are expected to happen today.
All right. Thank you so much, Mutala Inusa. And you know what? At a point, I was just looking at you quietly. You had nothing in front of you. You were just saying everything from memory. And I mean, I've got to admire that.
Really, thank you so much. It has to do with when you follow the cases.
Yes. It becomes
so,
it's easier to recall.
You're able to remember. If you are not there, you won't know how. But once you sit through the proceedings,
for a number of times, it's easier to recall. I was just looking at you quietly. You're just recalling from memory and everything. Nothing written.
Nothing written. Yeah.
Charlie, all right. Have a lovely day. I'm sure you're headed for the courts as well. Mutala Inusa is our legal affairs correspondent. And you know what, Mutala? He's all the above.
You're paying